The moment I succeeded in winning over the brooding male lead, I chose to exit the book world. I didn't hesitate for a second, not even when he begged me, broken and humbled, to stay with him. Later, back in the real world, my life fell apart. The system found me again. It offered me $5 million to go back into the book and win him over one more time. Just as I was about to agree, a stream of comments flashed across my vision. Holy crap, the ex who ditched Aidan is back. LOL, does she seriously think he is still in love with her? The second tasker not only got his darkness value down to -100, but she also chose to stay, giving him the family he always wanted. The happy couple is about to get married. Can the ex-wife please have some self-respect and not bother them? It took me a long moment to process it. The ex-wife they were talking about in the comments was me. Beside me, the system was still buzzing in my ear, trying to sell me on the deal. All you have to do is make Aidan Sterling fall for you again, and you will get $5 million. Even if you fail, you will get $50,000 for your trouble. How about it? It's a bargain, right? It was a bargain. And right now, I desperately needed the money. But those comments echoed in my head. I stayed silent for a moment, then said I needed to think about it. So, the system decided to send me back into the book first. To be precise, it sent me back to the home Aidan and I once shared. The tiny apartment, old but filled with a familiar warmth, was exactly as I had left it 3 years ago. Aidan hadn't moved a single thing. Even the dress I'd accidentally stained just before I left was now hanging in the closet, clean and pristine, as if waiting for me. I remembered that dress. It was from a famous designer, all the rage at the time. When Aidan had secretly bought it for me, I had chewed him out for spending so much money. He didn't argue, just lowered his gaze, his long lashes shadowing his cheeks, and waited for my anger to fade. Then he would coax me, in that soft, gentle voice of his, to try it on. I looked down, the silky fabric cool against my fingers. I took a deep breath. If Aidan had truly forgotten me, then why was this apartment still here? I looked up again, my eyes scanning the small room. My gaze was suddenly caught by a white piece of paper taped to the window. A few large, scrawled words were visible through the glass. For sale. Price negotiable. Urgent. The sharp, decisive strokes were unmistakably Aidan's. A fresh wave of tiny text flooded my vision. Ha ha ha, look at her face. The ex-wife is stunned. He wasn't holding on to their past, he just hadn't gotten around to selling the place. She really thought he still loved her like before. Plot twist, now that he has our sweet Sophie, he won't even give his ex a second glance. The only reason the system brought her back is to create some drama for Aidan and Sophie. Get ready for some prime humiliation, folks. I pressed my lips together. So that was it. The system was willing to offer $5 million because it was certain I would fail. Its real goal was to cast me as the villain, the obstacle in the main couple's love story. He was getting my labor for a mere $50,000. $50,000. I laughed, a bitter, self-mocking sound. To play the fool for 50 grand. It wasn't a small amount. It was enough to cover a week of treatment in the ICU. I summoned the system and coolly accepted the deal. The system was thrilled. It deposited a large sum of money into my account for expenses, though it could only be used within the book's world. Since Aidan was so eager to sell this place, I might as well be the one to buy it. I clutched my phone, my fingers dialing a number I knew by heart. It rang for half a minute before someone picked up. A bright, clear female voice came through the line. Hello. Who is this? I froze for a second, then glanced down to confirm the number. It was definitely Aidan's number. Hi, I was passing by and saw the for sale sign in the window. You want to buy the apartment? The person on the other end exclaimed, her voice bubbling with excitement. That's wonderful. Finally, someone wants it. I asked cautiously. Are you the owner? I'm the owner's girlfriend. You can just call me Sophie. So this was the second tasker. As my mind went blank, a brief murmur of voices came from the other end of the line, like two people whispering. It felt like an eternity passed before someone picked up the phone again. Aidan's cold, detached voice came through sharp and clear. Hello. Is it convenient to meet and discuss this in person? I waited in the coffee shop, a bundle of nerves. Finally, a sleek, understated luxury car pulled up to the curb. A picture-perfect couple stepped out. I hadn't seen Aidan in 3 years, but he was just as striking as ever. The last traces of youthful uncertainty in his features had been replaced by the quiet confidence that comes with power and wealth. He leaned casually against the car door. Sophie said something that made him smile, and he reached out to gently ruffle her hair. From across the distance, his gaze drifted in my direction. It rested on me for a fraction of a second before moving on, as placid and undisturbed as a still lake. I was still lost in a daze when Sophie sat down in front of me. She offered me an apologetic smile. My boyfriend had to run, he could only drop me off. I'll be handling the details in his place. I nodded, my voice genuine. I can tell you two are very happy together. Sophie's smile deepened. He runs a tech company. The net profit is in the 9-figure range every year. It's not about the money from the apartment, you know? We just don't want to keep it around anymore. Her tone was laced with a faint, unmissable sense of superiority. I nodded again and, following procedure, asked to see the apartment. Sophie paused, a flicker of awkwardness in her eyes. I don't have the keys. If you want to see it, my boyfriend will have to take you himself. I blinked, confused. He didn't give you the keys before you came? Logically, any property sale involved a viewing. Aidan couldn't possibly be unaware of that. Sophie sighed, a hint of frustration in her smile. I asked, but he wouldn't give them to me. He's never even taken me there. She lowered her voice conspiratorially. To be honest with you, this is the place he lived in with his ex-wife when he was just starting out. It just gives me the creeps. That's why I want it gone and fast. Oh, I said. In that case, I don't need to see it. We can just sign the contract. Sophie's face lit up. Afraid I would change my mind, she immediately pulled out the sales agreement. But she didn't have the deed, so we couldn't transfer the title just yet. We'd still have to wait for Aidan. With time to kill, I looked at this woman, a fellow tasker, just like me. My curiosity got the better of me. How did you and he get together? What I really wanted to know was how she had managed to win him over. The system had told me that after I left, Aidan had briefly relapsed into a second darkness. He had attempted suicide, slit his wrists. His darkness value had skyrocketed to a level that threatened the stability of the entire world. Sophie had appeared at his side during that critical time. She not only lowered his darkness value but completely replaced me in his heart. Aidan was not an easy man to win over. She must have gone through hell. But Sophie just smiled brightly. He had just been abandoned by his ex-wife and was completely heartbroken. I was just there for him, comforting him. It didn't take long for us to make it official. Was it really that simple? I could hardly believe it. Once again, the screen of my vision was flooded with comments full of mockery. Ha ha ha, the ex-wife is having a meltdown. Aidan has zero resistance when it comes to our girl Sophie. Don't forget, it took the ex-wife 10 whole years to win him over. She threw herself at him countless times before he finally, reluctantly, agreed to be with her. Sophie just had a few conversations with him, and all of the ex-wife's years of work went down the drain. That's the power of true love, baby. I silently watched the jeering words in the comments. They were right. My journey with Aidan had been incredibly difficult. So difficult that I never wanted to live through it again. Aidan's parents never loved him. At a young age, they abandoned him in a psychiatric hospital, leaving him to the mercy of abusive orderlies. The place was filled with violent, unhinged patients, a veritable prison guarded like a fortress. Even with the system's help, I nearly died getting him out of there. I took Aidan to a new city where no one knew us. I made sure he went to school, got an education, stayed on the right path. I even arranged for expensive therapy sessions every week. I did all of it hoping he would finally, completely, trust me. But Aidan was too smart. He effortlessly saw through the facade of this world, including my identity and my mission. After graduation, Aidan was the state's top scholar. I threw a party to celebrate, overjoyed for him. But he quietly pulled me aside, his expression cold, a flicker of self-deprecation in his eyes. You're doing all this to win me over for your mission, aren't you? After the initial shock, I sighed, my voice catching. I'm in love with you. That's my mission. Aidan scoffed, clearly unconvinced. My heart hammered in my chest. I pressed my head against his chest, my voice a small murmur. Aidan, please don't get hung up on all that. These last few years, they have been so hard. You have to hurry up and make my life easier. My voice broke. I really, really love you. Please don't question me like this again. It hurts too much. After college, Aidan started his own company. We moved into that tiny rundown apartment. It had no heating in the winter. I was always cold, and my feet would get so numb they ached. Every night, Aidan would massage them for me, his eyes red with unshed tears, silent but full of pain for me. By then, we were married. His life goal had shifted from building a tech empire to destroy the world to the mundane task of making enough money to buy his wife a house. We hustled during the day and held each other in that small bed at night. I remember being harassed by an investor I was trying to win over. I didn't dare tell Aidan, so I just walked the streets alone crying. Another time, when a rival company came after us, I stood in front of Aidan without a second thought, taking the blow that sent me to the operating room. I don't know how many times I went through things like that before Aidan slowly, painstakingly, fell in love with me. And compared to my decade-long effort, Sophie had done it in just 3 short weeks. She'd brought his darkness value down to -100 and pushed his affection meter all the way to 100%. Sophie was still chattering on about the sweet little moments she shared with Aidan. She said it was love at first sight for him. I swallowed the lump in my throat and took a sip of my milkshake. Has he ever mentioned his ex-wife to you? Sophie thought for a moment. Then a triumphant smile spread across her face. Never. I think he's completely over her. I nodded. It was better this way. I didn't actually want to ruin their relationship. When Aidan showed up, I would just act like I was full of regret, pathetically throwing myself at him. Given his personality, he would probably be disgusted and push me away. Once he rejected me, I would take my $50,000 and happily exit this world. As I was plotting, Sophie's phone rang. Her face lit up. My boyfriend's meeting is over. He's coming to pick me up. We have a date tonight, so let's deal with the apartment tomorrow, okay? I froze for a second, then forced a smile and a nod. Okay, I'll just be going then. Where do you live? Sophie asked, grabbing my arm affectionately. I'll have my boyfriend give you a ride. The smile on my face froze solid. Sophie was just too insistent. Before I knew it, the car door had clicked shut, and I was inside. The cool, clean scent of pine wood hung in the air. I could hear Sophie's sweet, playful voice as she showed Aidan her new manicure. Aidan was sitting right in front of me. From my angle, I could see his hands on the steering wheel, his knuckles sharp and defined. He kept his eyes on the road, but he responded to her every word. I glanced at the rearview mirror, at the handsome lines of his face, and felt a wave of disorientation. Aidan had never been this patient with me. When we were together, he was always so insecure, so full of dread. He knew about my mission, and was terrified I would leave at any moment. He would wake up in the middle of the night, startled, his hand frantically searching for me on the other side of the bed. I would have to soothe him, again and again, exhausted. I won't leave you alone. I love you, and it has nothing to do with the mission. I kept telling him that lie, right up until the moment I left. He had cried then, clutching my hand, begging me not to go, begging me to stay just a little longer, just a few more years. I had sighed and refused every plea. His face had gone pale, his eyes swirling with a storm of pain and madness. Why? Don't you love me? How can you just leave me like this? You said you would never leave me alone. I gave him a bitter smile. I have someone I love in the real world. Aidan's eyes flickered up, catching my gaze in the mirror. He frowned. The car lurched forward with a sudden, violent screech of brakes. Caught off guard, my forehead slammed against the window with a dull thud, leaving a blooming bruise. Sorry. Aidan's voice was raspy. He turned his head slightly. We're here. It took me a moment to register. Oh, I said, managing a thank you. When I had gotten in the car, Sophie had asked for my address, and I had just blurted out the name of a random apartment complex. I arranged to meet Sophie next time and got out of the car. Aidan kept his eyes down, never once looking back at me. He didn't linger for a moment. The car's taillights vanished around the corner almost instantly. At the busy entrance to the complex, I wrapped my arms around myself and slowly sank to the ground. I don't know how much time passed. Then, the familiar luxury car pulled up again, silent and imposing, right in front of me. The window rolled down, revealing the sharp, defined profile of his face. Aidan stared at me, his expression unreadable. Get in. I had expected Aidan to find a way to see me alone. I just hadn't expected it to be so soon. Too soon for me to prepare myself to face him. As we were locked in a stalemate, Aidan lifted a hand and lit a cigarette. I frowned instinctively. I hated it when he smoked. In the past, I would have snatched it from him without a word and stamped it out. And the Aidan back then was always so obedient. When I told him to quit, he never touched another one. He would never have been like this. He would never have sat there, shrouded in a pale haze of smoke, studying me so brazenly. I bit back my words, about to speak. The comments flooded my vision again. What's she hesitating for? Does she actually think he wants something from her? He has known she was back for a while. He just didn't say anything in the car because he didn't want Sophie to get the wrong idea. The only reason he's seeing her alone is to warn her not to run her mouth in front of Sophie. He couldn't care less about her. I stood rooted to the spot, the silence heavy around me. It was like a bucket of ice water had been poured over my head. The impulsive flicker of emotion I had felt a moment ago was extinguished completely. I had no right to tell him what to do anymore. The hand resting on the car window, pale and elegant, dropped lazily. Aidan expressionlessly averted his gaze. As if remembering something, he crushed the cigarette with a flicker of derision. You want to buy the apartment, don't you? Get in. I will take you to see it. The ride was silent. Aidan showed no intention of speaking. But my mind was a chaotic mess. See, I keep reading the scrolling texts in front of me. Well, at least she knows her place. She took the back seat, knowing the passenger seat is for the girlfriend. He's supposed to be warning her, so why is he taking her to their old place? Don't worry, guys. He doesn't know her real plan yet. Once she shows her true colors, he will be even more disgusted with her. When we arrived at the door, I couldn't help but speak. Don't you have anything to ask me? Aidan's hand, holding the key, paused. He glanced down at me, a brow raised, silently waiting for me to continue. I mustered my courage. Like why I came back. How long I'm staying. Or Why I want to buy this apartment. Not interested. Aidan looked away, his tone flat. I don't care who buys it. I'm erasing everything that has to do with you. As for why you're back. He stuffed his hands in his pockets and let out what sounded like a humorless chuckle. You're not planning to try and win me over again, are you? I was silent for a beat. What if I am? You can certainly try. Aidan pushed the door open. It creaked loudly. The inside of the apartment was once again laid bare before me. A single beam of light cut through the gloom, illuminating dancing dust motes. Aidan stood just behind me to my left, the fabric of his coat brushing against my sleeve. He didn't speak, and neither did I. In the silence, it felt like we had gone back in time. To a perfectly ordinary afternoon during our marriage. We would be coming home from the market, his fingers looped through a dozen plastic bags filled with my favorite foods and snacks. We'd be laughing and teasing each other all the way home. The moment the door closed, I would leap onto him, wrapping my arms around his neck, giggling as I sought his lips. Aidan would lean back, exasperated but helpless, until his back was pressed against the door. He would hold my waist and with a sigh of surrender, kiss me back. A hand suddenly clamped around my wrist. I tensed. Aidan released me just as quickly, his expression returning to its usual cool composure. Have a look around. It's better if I sell it to you. Saves me the trouble of cleaning the place out. I nodded and took a quick, perfunctory tour of the apartment. It's fine, I said, returning to him. I already told Sophie we would handle the transfer tomorrow. Just give her the deed. You don't need to be there. Fine. Aidan agreed without hesitation. His tone paused for a second before he added, with slow cutting sarcasm. And you don't have to be so guarded. If I had my way, I would never see you again for the rest of my life. He arched a brow at me. The only reason I met you alone was because I was afraid you would say something to Sophie. I don't want to make her unhappy. Do you understand? I took a slow, deep breath. I won't mention our past to Sophie. Good. Silence again. After a conversation like that, I knew I should have the decency to leave. But for that $50,000. My voice trembled as I spoke. Aidan, I was wrong. I never should have left you. A ripple of something disturbed the dark pools of his eyes. He narrowed his gaze, studying me, a thoughtful look on his face. Go on. I came back to make it up to you. And I realized I'm still in love with you. Could you? I looked at him, my heart pounding. Could you give me another chance? A dead silence fell over the room. The moment the words left my mouth, my vision was nearly obliterated by a tidal wave of jeering comments. I squeezed my eyes shut, a hot, shameful blush creeping up my face. After a long moment, a low chuckle echoed in the room. What's this? Did your comatose husband in the real world finally die, so you remembered your old backup plan? My head snapped up, a muscle twitching at the corner of my eye. My lips trembled with a rage I couldn't voice. Aidan saw it all, his dark eyes missing nothing. He raised an eyebrow. Sorry, did you not get the memo? I have someone I love now too. His tone was light, dismissive. But those dark, intense eyes never left my face. My own eyes felt dry. I blinked hard. I know. Aidan seemed to smile, but it was devoid of any real emotion. In the end, he simply turned and walked away, leaving me with the sight of his back as he pushed open the door. Yes. You have no idea how long I have waited for this moment. Ha ha ha. The boomerang came back and hit the ex-wife right in the face. She should just quit the system already. Even if she saves him 100 more times, he will never love her again. But I guess he still has a soft spot for her. He left the key to the apartment, so she wouldn't be homeless. Wait, what's that under the key? I blinked, my gaze shifting to the clear plastic cover on the small table. Aidan had indeed left the key behind before he left. Underneath the tarnished brass key was a small red booklet. Holy shit. Am I seeing things? Is that the deed? Why would he leave the deed with her? Shouldn't something that important go to Sophie? My hand trembled as I opened the booklet. The comments in my vision suddenly went quiet. On the deed, there was only one name. Mine. I suddenly remembered. When we bought this apartment, Aidan had been the one to handle all the paperwork. Knowing I would eventually have to leave, I had specifically told him to only put his own name on it to avoid any future complications. I guess he only listened to half of what I said. He had indeed only written one name, but it was mine. So this apartment was already mine. I didn't need to buy it at all. The comments flared back to life. So this apartment was already mine. I didn't need to buy it at all. The comments flared back to life. I get it now. He did this so she wouldn't have to meet with Sophie again. Smart move. Makes sense. He's a self-made billionaire now. What's a small apartment to him? It's probably less than what he spends on a single piece of jewelry for Sophie. OMG, I'm dying. His love for Sophie is so real. They have been together for over a year, and he still won't even hold her hand. He's so respectful. I let out a self-deprecating laugh. So that was it. I summoned the system. The mission failed. Can you send me back to my world now? A question mark slowly materialized. Are you even trying? You think one little confession is enough to make him fall for you again? Where's that relentless spirit you had when you first tried to win him over? He sighed. I did my best. What do you consider trying? The system was quiet for a moment. Kiss him. On the lips. What? I gasped. If he pushes you away, we will officially register the mission as a failure. You can exit the world and collect your $50,000. And if he doesn't push me away? The system paused. Then you have to stay in this world and see the mission through until you win him over again. Is this damn system crazy? And she actually agreed. What a pathetic excuse for a woman. No, I don't want Aidan and Sophie to fight. This is all her fault. I remained silent. In a world like this, someone had to play the villain. If it wasn't me, it would be someone else. I began to bargain. Since you're making new demands, I want more. 100,000. Not a penny less. To the system, that was pocket change. It agreed, but with a hint of confusion. Are you really that desperate for money? Of course. Is it worth it? The system pressed. Wasting the rest of your life for someone who will never wake up? A pale, beloved face flashed through my mind. You wouldn't understand, I said. The next day, Sophie invited me to lunch to thank me for taking the apartment off her hands. I think, even though he doesn't say it, he's still hung up on her, Sophie complained in a low voice. A lot of people have tried to buy this place over the years, but he never wanted to sell. He's been dragging his feet until now. I was momentarily stunned, then shook my head. You are overthinking it. If he really didn't want to sell, why would he put up a sign? Sophie gave me a meaningful look, leaned in conspiratorially, and sighed. Let me be honest with you. The truth is. Before she could finish, the glass window next to our table exploded. The shattering was followed by a deafening roar. Glass shards flew everywhere. Acting on pure instinct, I yanked Sophie behind me. A man in a massive bulldozer had just crashed into the restaurant. Holy crap. The villain's here. Time for the classic hero saves the damsel scene. Who is he gonna save first? Oh, the suspense is killing me. Can the villain just take out the ex-wife first? I'm so sick of her dramatic act. Inside the violently shaking trunk of a car, Sophie was terrified. Her eyes red like a frightened rabbit's. A year ago, when she met Aidan, he had already built a vast commercial empire. On the surface, he was just a tech mogul, but in this lawless, fictional world, his power was absolute. Under his protection, Sophie had barely faced a single hardship. But I was different. During the years I was winning Aidan over, he wasn't yet the powerhouse he was today. He couldn't always protect me. The business world was a battlefield of open attacks and hidden ambushes. Being kidnapped. I was used to it. I struggled to turn my body, touching her forehead gently, trying to calm her down. Outside, the villain had parked the car in a deserted lot. He grabbed an iron bar from the passenger seat and started walking toward us, his expression grim. Whoa, is he really going to hit someone with a pipe that thick? This is terrifying. That would hurt so much. Please don't let him hurt our sweet Sophie. Is this a bad ending? If Sophie dies, Aidan's going to lose it again. No kidding. He almost self-destructed when the ex-wife left. If something happens to Sophie. Looking at Sophie, who was curled into a ball, trembling with fear, I closed my eyes. Sophie had redeemed Aidan. She was the one who had saved him, who had given him a reason to live. If she died now. The moment the iron bar swung towards Sophie, I threw myself in front of her. The piercing wail of a siren cut through the howling wind. The pipe froze in mid-air, a hair's breadth from my face. Amidst a sea of question marks flooding my vision, I remained in a posture that suggested my head was about to be caved in, my eyes straining to see into the distance. Several police cars had surrounded the deserted lot. A door flew open, and Aidan practically leaped out of the car. The first thing he did was look at me. In my peripheral vision, I saw his expression go blank for a split second. His eyelashes trembled, but his face remained a mask. But his eyes were instantly bloodshot. The villain quickly weighed his options between me and Sophie. He grabbed Sophie. A sharp box cutter pressed against the artery in her neck. As she screamed, he dragged her backward, moving farther and farther away from me. Even farther than he was from the police. The police swarmed him, creating a standoff. It seemed I was safe. Still shaken, I tried to stand up. The next second, someone threw themselves at me, pulling me into a desperate embrace. Aidan was shaking. He held me in an iron grip, so tight I could barely breathe. The collar of my shirt slowly grew damp. I wanted to laugh, but I couldn't. All I could do was what I had done countless times before, stroking his back again and again. It's okay. See, I'm fine. I told you I would be okay. Why don't you ever believe me? The man in my arms didn't speak. His heart, which had been hammering against his ribs, finally began to slow under my touch. Didn't he hate the ex-wife? Why was his first instinct to hug her? Hate her my ass. You can't fake a subconscious reaction. It's obvious he's madly in love with her. Then what about our Sophie? Sophie's still in the hands of a psycho. A cold dread washed over me. I tried to pull away. Let go. Everyone's watching. Sophie is still in danger. We have to get her out of there. Even now you're thinking about someone else? Aidan cut me off, his voice ragged, trembling with a restraint that was about to break. Why did you shield her? If I had been 1 second later, I wouldn't have died, I said quietly. Even if I die here, I will just go back to the real world. But it was different for Sophie. Once a host decides to stay in the book, their real-world body dies. Their entire existence is confined to the story. If Sophie died in the book, she would be dead for good, in every sense of the word. Aidan's expression slowly hardened. Even his breathing seemed to turn to ice, leaving only a faint, moist trace of red at the corner of his eye. He looked down at his own trembling hands and laughed, a self-mocking sound. How pathetic. I was worried for nothing. I almost forgot you don't belong here. That's right, he continued, his voice laced with venom. You have your precious husband in the real world, don't you? You're probably dying to get back to him. I called for my system, but there was no response. My mind was a chaotic mess. Just as a splitting headache began to bloom, Sophie's voice suddenly echoed in my head. System. System. Get out here. She was practically screaming. You told me Aidan had gotten rid of all the villains. What the hell is this? I sighed silently. In the chaos, I had caught a glimpse of the villain's face and recognized him. He was one of the orderlies from the psychiatric hospital, the one who had used his size and position to bully the child version of Aidan. The night we escaped, Aidan had smilingly shattered both of the man's legs. If it hadn't been for the horrified, pale look on my face, the man's skull would have been next. In the years since, Aidan had faced countless major villains, all of them worthy adversaries in terms of intellect and status. He had completely forgotten that in some dark corner, this single, evil little shrimp still existed. He's a minor villain, a strange, emotionless system voice replied to Sophie. He posed no threat to the male lead's career, so he wasn't on the list. He kidnapped you simply to kill you for revenge. After all, everyone thinks you're the male lead's one true love. Sophie's voice trembled with panic. I don't want to die. You have to. You have to save me. The system remained unmoved. When you signed the agreement to stay in this book world, you were informed of the risks. Our contract was terminated. I can no longer provide you with any assistance. Besides, weren't you the one who kept saying you had fallen in love with the male lead? That you would rather die than leave him? Now you get your wish. If you die, he might just remember you forever. Was it my imagination? Or was there a hint of mockery in this new system's voice? Sophie broke down sobbing. Who said I fell in love with him? We are not even a real couple. He only acts like he's in love with me in public. In private, he's cold as ice. Being with him is like being a widow. If it wasn't for the good life he could give me, why would I have stayed? If I had known he would get me killed, I never would have saved him. Someone else could have had the job for all I cared. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. The reaction from the comments was even more intense than mine. I'm done. I thought this was a true love story. Turns out it was just a business arrangement. I shipped a pile of crap. The ex-wife was better than this. At least she actually went through the hard times with him. Right? The second tasker did nothing. She just showed up to enjoy the good life. Am I the only one who feels bad for Aidan? Everyone is just using him. He's so tragic. He keeps giving his heart away, only to be betrayed again and again. Wait a minute. Who said Aidan ever fell in love with the second tasker? Is it possible? They were just using each other all along. My head snapped toward Aidan. He stood on the edge of the crowd, arms crossed, watching the scene unfold with a calm detachment. The panic from moments ago was completely gone. He was a spectator. Host, did you call for me just now? My own system's familiar voice finally sounded in my head. Sorry, there was an internal equipment malfunction. It's possible there was some signal crossing. Did you happen to hear another system and its host? I shook my head and asked a question that had been bothering me for a long time. The darkness value and the affection meter. Can they be faked? Theoretically, no, the system replied. But theory is bullshit. The male lead is capable of defying even us. Is there anything he can't do? I was stunned. Defying you? The system told me everything. After I left, Aidan had his second dark relapse. The extreme darkness value caused a severe physical backlash. The pain was worse than death, a torment that pierced his very soul. Because of this, the system had applied to have all of Aidan's memories of me erased, to reset him to his initial state, as if I had never existed. But Aidan was too smart to be controlled. The moment the memory wipe began, he had calmly, smilingly, shattered one of his own legs. First the ankle, then the knee, then his wrist. While enduring the agony of the backlash, he had coolly used his own body to fight the system. Memories could be erased, But restoring a male lead body came at a great cost. The system had no choice but to emergently halt the memory wipe. As a last resort, they came up with a desperate plan: send in Sophie, a star tasker who had successfully redeemed countless villains, to see if someone else could save him. In the end, Sophie was rescued from the villain. By the time it was over, she had fainted from the shock of seeing the villain taken out by a sniper. Amidst the chaotic crowd, I sat in a corner, wrapped in a blanket, endlessly picking at my fingers. My system had just informed me that the hospital was demanding payment again. The money in my account would only cover 3 more days. Over the past few years, to pay for the exorbitant hospital bills, I had given up the career I loved, sold my house and my car, and spent every penny of my savings. I was drowning in debt. I worked numbly day and night just to make money, but I could never keep up with the hospital's bills. The system tried to persuade me again. Listen to me, stop this pointless effort. No matter how much money you spend, he's not going to wake up. He's important to you, but is he more important than you are to yourself? I stubbornly shook my head. I won't let him die. I can't accept it. My distress caught the attention of someone nearby. A female police officer leaned down, her face full of concern. Why are you crying like that? Were you scared? Do you want me to take you to see a therapist? You can get back to your work. I'll stay with her. Aidan had walked over at some point. He looked down at me, his eyes swirling with an emotion I couldn't decipher. The officer hesitated. And you are? I'm her husband. Aidan showed her our marriage certificate. Holy shit. All this time I have been calling her the ex-wife. Turns out she's the real deal. So he put on this whole tragic, brooding act. But he couldn't even bring himself to throw away their marriage certificate? What do? I was just hating on her, and now I'm kind of shipping them. I covered my eyes, my mind a mess. Aidan's voice was cold. Lena, who are you crying for? I didn't answer. Fine, don't tell me, he scoffed. It's not like I want to know anyway. A few seconds passed. Then he demanded, do you love him that much? I looked at him, my eyes red-rimmed, and slowly nodded. And do you love me? He asked again. I nodded again. Aidan was silent for a few seconds, then let out an exasperated laugh. He stood up and paced back and forth, as if trying to forcibly calm himself. He punched a half-solid block of concrete, sending dust flying. The beautiful bones of his knuckles were now a bloody mess. He grabbed my shoulders, his voice a furious, gritted whisper. Lena, you are not even pretending anymore, are you? What are you thinking? Do you think I'm still the same man from 3 years ago? The one who would let you walk all over him? 3 years ago. The year Aidan loved me the most. His affection meter had once reached 200%. Even after learning the true purpose of my mission, he had tried to make me stay. He shed every layer of his pride, knelt before me without a shred of dignity, and begged me, utterly defeated. Lena, I love you. You can't do this. You can't make me fall in love with you and then just abandon me. Lena, I'm not asking you to give him up for me, but you can't. You can't just throw me away so easily. Can't you just have one more person to love? One in the book, one in reality? I won't interfere. As long as you are happy. You don't even have to see me that often. I had looked at him then, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. He didn't know. The man I loved in the real world was also him. In a complete reversal of the book's world, the Aidan of my reality had grown up in a happy, healthy family. He was gentle, calm, like a soft morning breeze carrying the scent of dew. He died on the way to our wedding. In the wedding car, I watched through the window, through the festive red decorations, as the oil tanker hurtled toward us. The next second, Aidan's face filled my vision. He shielded me with his body, his long lashes sweeping down, gently covering my eyes. My sweet girl, he whispered. Just take a nap. Everything will be okay. You will be fine. Flames raged around us. He was in so much pain his eyes twitched, but he calmly patted my back, his voice steady and clear. Just like it was 10 years ago, when he knelt down in front of me at the orphanage gate and smiled. You're so sweet. What's your name? Until I was 7. I was a child no one wanted. My biological father was a criminal, and I was the unwanted fruit of his crime. No one had looked forward to my birth. I was sent to the orphanage the day I was born. The teachers there believed I had inherited my father's genes. No matter how good I was, how hard I tried, I never received an ounce of their affection. Every couple that came to adopt would initially be drawn to me. They would look at all the children and then stop, stroking my face with a kind hand. But that affection was always fleeting. The moment they learned of my parentage, their faces would change, and they would back away as if I were poison. Only Aidan was different. He convinced his parents to adopt me. From beginning to end, he chose me, his belief unwavering. I trust my instincts. She's such a good kid. Why shouldn't she be loved? Aidan was my brother for 6 years. He played the role of an older brother perfectly, patiently teaching me right from wrong. At the same time, he spoiled me rotten. Within the bounds of our sibling relationship, I had unlimited power over him. I could make him tie my shoes, I could roll around on his bed, and on stormy nights, I could clutch my pillow and knock on his door. He even let me get away with kissing him secretly when he pretended to be asleep. We both knew what was hidden beneath the surface of our brother-sister relationship. When I was 18, his family went bankrupt. His parents planned to flee with what money they had left. I, the adopted daughter with whom they had a weak emotional connection, was clearly not part of their plan. But Aidan stayed behind for me. He patted my head, pretending to be relaxed. It's okay, Lena. Big brother will never leave you. I love to draw. I had won many awards since I was a child. But art was an expensive path. To allow me to pursue my passion without any worries, Aidan dropped out of college and started working on construction sites, doing whatever he could to make money. He transformed from a bright, promising young man into an adult with the weight of the world on his shoulders. His days were exhausting. He would wake up before dawn, sit by my bed for a few moments, and then leave for the day, only to return late at night. Sometimes he would come home bone-tired, only to find me in the throes of a nightmare. He wouldn't even change his clothes, just sit and soothe me until morning. I offered to quit school and get a job to help share the burden. That was the first time Aidan ever got angry with me. His face was grim as he asked me to think again about whether I really wanted to give up on myself. The moment he turned to leave, I burst into tears and threw my arms around him. His body went rigid. The next second, I cupped his face and stood on my toes to kiss him. He stumbled back a few steps, caught off guard. But he caught the impulsive, forbidden kiss and returned it with a muffled groan. I love you, he sighed, his voice low. So lifting you up is my mission. Seeing you happy. That makes me happy. Years later, in a parallel world, I found myself in a similar situation with another version of him. You just need to focus on your exams, okay? Why are you taking on tutoring jobs? I don't need you to make money for me. I looked at the dejected boy before me, his eyes downcast. I smiled and hugged him. I love you, Aidan. So lifting you up is my mission. My voice broke halfway through. Seeing you happy. That makes me happy. 3 months after Aidan was declared brain dead, I woke up from another nightmare. Aidan was never coming back. I frantically searched for the sleeping pills he had hidden before he died, and poured a handful into my palm. It was the system that stopped my desperate act. Do you know why you survived the car crash? Because Aidan traded his soul to us. He traded it for your life. I froze, the bottle of pills slipping from my grasp and clattering to the floor. His soul, stripped of all its memories, was placed into a character in one of our books, the system explained. This character has a tragic backstory and needs to be redeemed. We've sent many taskers, but none have succeeded. Do you want to try? Coming back to the present, I looked at the beautiful face before me. Even when he was angry, he was still so handsome. Aidan looked down at me, his voice deliberate. I'm not the same man I was 3 years ago. I won't be played by you again. I don't even want. His words were cut short. I had suddenly hooked my arm around his neck and kissed him. Our lips had only just met when I was forcefully pinned against the wall. Aidan's grip on my shoulders was tight, the corners of his eyes red with a mixture of humiliation and anger. He couldn't speak. He looked like he wanted to either hit me or kill me. I bit my lip, about to say something. But in the next second, his tall frame silently crumpled. He knelt before me, closed his eyes, and then tilted his head up, slowly, tentatively, moving toward my lips. It was a posture of someone desperate for affection. My heart trembled. My vision filled with a flurry of text. Dude, we know you are all talk, but could you at least try to resist for more than 2 seconds? Damn. You must have been exhausted from all that acting. You have been planning this since the moment you knew she was back, haven't you? What a fraud. First, he fakes a relationship with the second tasker, then he acts all cold and distant with this one. And one kiss is all it takes for him to break. Say what you will, but I haven't seen a good kiss scene since the first tasker left. I'm so excited. My mind went blank. Even my breath was stolen, captured by his careful kiss. The system's shriek echoed in my head. Host, what did you do? The male lead's affection meter just spiked to 999. As our lips tangled, I stared at Aidan, lost. After a long time, he pulled back just a fraction of an inch, his ragged breaths brushing against my face. Let's go home. Aidan gave me a black card. I played with it for a moment, sighed and set it aside. He picked it up, his lips pressed into a thin line, and pushed it back into my hand. I know the money in this world means nothing to you, he said with a self-deprecating smile. But you need money here too, at least while you're with me. Take care of yourself, please? I nodded silently. Aidan was right. I was never good at taking care of myself. Before coming back to the book, I hadn't had a proper night's sleep in a long time. To make money, I had given up my art. I worked 3 jobs a day, from 5 in the morning until midnight. My tiny rented room didn't even have its own bathroom. I was just so tired. So when Aidan laid me down on the bed, I fell into a deep, heavy sleep. It was the most peaceful sleep I'd had in years. I was completely oblivious, not even dreaming. I slept for a full day and night. When I woke up, I was curled up in Aidan's arms. He was gently patting my back, his eyes half closed, a rare look of tranquility on his handsome face. I rubbed my eyes and shifted to hug him more tightly. How is Sophie? She took a sum of money from me and went off to travel the world, Aidan said flatly. My system had just filled me in. While I was sleeping, Sophie had demanded to see Aidan. Since she could no longer leave the book, he was her last hope in this world. I nodded, a teasing smile on my face. CEO Sterling is quite generous with his breakup fees. It wasn't a breakup fee. Aidan looked at me seriously. There was never anything real between us. It was a mutually beneficial arrangement. A partnership. A partnership? Her goal in this world was the same as yours, to redeem me. I adjusted my darkness value to help her complete her mission, and she stayed to play a part for me. I was silent for a moment. Aidan. He turned his head slightly to look at me, his voice a soft hum of acknowledgement. My return to this book. Was that your doing? It was. He didn't try to hide it. For the sake of a good story, the system needs my life to be full of twists and turns. The moment I found any kind of peaceful, happy life, it was bound to interfere. I frowned. Then how did you know the system would choose me? It could have sent a tasker even more professional than Sophie. It didn't have to be me. A slow smile spread across Aidan's face. Because the system and I both know one thing for certain. Only you can truly mess with my emotions. I rested my head on Aidan's shoulder and told him everything. About our past, about the real world. The man holding me listened, quietly, his lips occasionally curling into a smile, his eyes sometimes darkening with thought. After a long while, he gently pulled me up to sit straight and asked me seriously, "What are your plans for the future? You still have such a long life ahead of you." "Lena," he said, his voice soft and tinged with a strange melancholy, "are you going to live in this shadow for the rest of your life?" His tone was so gentle. It was strange. It wasn't something the Aidan from the book would say. I thought for a moment, then whispered, "I owe it to him." Aidan's fingers tensed. He frowned at me. "Why would you say that?" Looking into those familiar eyes, my own eyes burned. It was my fault. I had ruined Aidan. My feelings for him were never as pure as his were for me. From our very first meeting at the orphanage, I had actively sought his attention. When he bent down and reached out to touch my hair, I had leaned into his touch, my eyes shining. I had watched him turn to his mother and say, "Mom, look, it's like she and I were destined to meet." What destiny? He was just my ladder out of hell. I never believed I could be loved, and I certainly didn't believe he would unconditionally love a sister he wasn't related to by blood. So I deliberately got close to him. It was me. I was the one who silently lured him across the line between brother and sister. In their home, I used him to secure my place. After his parents left, I played the victim, making him willingly lift me onto his shoulders, even offering to quit school and work. That was just a calculated move on my part. As I spoke, I broke down into sobs. Aidan pressed my head into the crook of his neck, comforting me. "Shoo, it's okay. What else?" And that impulsive kiss. It wasn't the result of overwhelming emotion. I was just too greedy. I wanted to embed myself so deeply in his life that he could never leave. Aidan had wanted to wait until I was a little older to marry me, but I was too insecure. I was terrified that if I didn't have him tied to me, even for a second, he would disappear. So I used every trick I could think of to force him to marry me right away. If Aidan knew how I had schemed against him back then, he would probably regret dying to save me, wouldn't he? He wouldn't regret it. His calm voice pulled me from my thoughts. Aidan held me tighter and repeated, "It's okay. Even if he knew, he would never have blamed you. The mission was a success. The system transferred $5 million into my account. Host, you once again have the choice to stay in the book world or leave," the system said in a coaxing tone. "If you stay, we can sign the agreement right now. Don't you want to be with him forever? This is your chance." It was the same choice I'd had 3 years ago. I was torn. The long dormant comments suddenly reappeared. "Don't do it. If you stay, you will die in the real world. The system will get that $5 million in the end. Aidan is no longer under the system's control. They have sent people to erase him. If you stay, you will be destroyed along with him." Damn it. If only someone could take down the corporation behind the system. It's all these capitalists pulling the strings. Exactly. They use his business genius and research skills to boost their own GDP, enjoying the benefits from the shadows, and then they just get rid of him when he's no longer useful. The system is so evil. Lena, you have to leave. Take the $5 million and go live your own life. I stared at the comments, stunned. My mind went blank. If the Aidan in the book died, his soul would dissipate completely, and the Aidan lying in the ICU would be no different from a dead man. I scrambled out of bed in a panic, searching the entire apartment, but there was no sign of Aidan. Suddenly, a massive explosion rocked the city center. A towering skyscraper was engulfed in flames, the entire building glowing like a red-hot poker. It's over, Aidan's still in there. I can't believe the system moved so fast. They used a bomb, didn't they? They are really going all out to kill him. Lena, just exit the world already. Wait, where are you going? I ran out onto the street, barefoot. The fire was spreading with terrifying speed. The air around me was a roaring, scorching wind. I remembered the oil tanker, just before it exploded. It was the same all-consuming sea of fire. I stared up at the burning building, my body numb. My love was in there. Tears streamed down my face, evaporating on my hot cheeks almost as soon as they fell. Through the shimmering waves of heat, I thought I could see Aidan's wavering silhouette. The fire was too intense, and his figure was already becoming indistinct. Oh no, the main entrance collapsed. It's too late. He could have escaped. He stayed behind to save that kid, and now he's trapped. He's on the first floor. He could get out through the back exit. If only he knew. The back exit. I pushed through the crowd and burst into the building, running like a headless chicken through the smoke-filled corridors. The comments lit up in front of me, guiding me to him. Yes, yes, turn left. The fire isn't as bad over there. He's at the end of the hallway, around the corner. This is it. My ship is finally sailing. The moment the back exit collapsed in a shower of sparks and debris, I grabbed the corner of Aidan's shirt. He saw me, and his eyes darkened with a flash of anger. The fist at his side clenched, then slowly relaxed. I threw myself into his arms. He caught me, held me steady, and said coldly, "And here I was, always calling you my sweet girl. You are not sweet at all. You are reckless." My sweet girl. My mind went blank. I hugged his waist tighter, my arms trembling as I looked up at him. He knew? When did he find out? Suddenly, I remembered waking up that day, the way Aidan had been looking at me. It was Sophie. She had told him. So he had remembered everything back then. Lena, have I not taught you to stay out of danger? Aidan scolded me, his face stern. I've been dead for years. How can you still be so foolish? Do you have any idea how much it hurts to be burned alive? A wave of fire rolled down the hallway toward us. He frowned, shielding me as he pulled me into a room and slammed the door shut. We were finally in a space with breathable air. But I still buried my face in his chest, refusing to let go. Aidan expressionlessly pulled me away. We need to talk. Why did you come in here? He asked, his eyes downcast. To save me? Or to die with me? I bit my lip, my hands clutching his. When I didn't answer, a small frown creased his handsome brow. After a moment, his tone softened. Lena, he said gently, I have never blamed you. You were never a burden in my eyes. You were a treasure. If it weren't for you, he paused as if lost in thought, then shook his head. If I had never met someone to love, my life would never have been happy. But I used you, I whispered, looking down, my voice choked with sobs. I don't deserve any of this. But do you love me? What? Aidan repeated the question. All these years, have you loved me, Lena? It was a question he already knew the answer to. I love you, I said softly. But there are no buts. That's enough. So what if there was a little deception mixed in with a lot of real love? He said. You were starved for affection your whole life. The fact that you could love at all. That was amazing. You don't owe me anything. And I don't owe you anything. You don't have to live with guilt and pain because of my death. You need to live your life. Tears finally broke through my eyes and blurred my vision. I was so sad and so angry that I jumped up and started hitting him. How can you say something so heartless? He was telling me to give up on him. How could he be so cruel? Aidan laughed, his clean-cut face animated and alive in the flickering firelight. He caught me and pulled me into his arms, patting my back gently. You are only 26. You have so much money. You graduated from a top university. You're beautiful. I raised you so well. Is this one small request really too much to ask? He sighed, his voice low. I know you can't bear to let me go, but I'm already dead. Accidents tomorrow. No one knows which will come first. Lena, he said softly. Everyone has people who pass through their lives. He touched my face one last time. Let me be laid to rest. When you go back, bury me somewhere you can see me. I woke with a jolt, drenched in a cold sweat. It was the first night I had been able to sleep since returning to the real world. My phone chimed. It was a notification from my bank. My eyes widened in disbelief. $70 million. The system's voice, weary and faint, came through in my head. Hey, that's the male lead's inheritance. In the book, it was 700 billion, but this is all we could withdraw. Clutching my phone, I felt a sense of wrongness. Even if it was only 70 million, it shouldn't have come to me. Whatever, I'm about to lose my job anyway, so I might as well tell you a bit more. The system continued, its voice listless. The male lead's original plan was for you to stay in the book with him. To protect you and himself from the system's interference, he spent the last few years secretly investigating us while pretending to expand his business empire. He even found our home base. He had already planted the explosives. All he had to do was wait for the timer. He would have been completely free from our control. But our bomb went off first. He really did try so hard to live with you. He was so close. I sat silently in the sunlight. So close. Aidan's self-mocking eyes flashed in my mind. Accidents tomorrow. No one knows which will come first. I was the one who personally disconnected Aidan from life support in the hospital. I buried him in the front yard of my home. Every time I left the house, I would turn to the small mound of earth and say a proper goodbye. When I came home, I would crouch down and tell him all about my day. After a while, I thought the mound of earth looked too bare and lonely. Aidan wouldn't have liked it. So I planted a loquat tree on his grave. Later, I went to England and studied art for 3 years. By the time I graduated, my paintings were already gaining some recognition. I didn't just paint. I taught, sending off class after class of bright, energetic students. During school breaks, I traveled the world, sketching and painting. In every new place I visited, I would paint a portrait of Aidan. As the years passed, the loquat tree grew from a tiny sapling into a tall, sprawling tree, its branches spreading out like a giant, protective hat. Aidan, I whispered, looking up at the tree that seemed to want to embrace me. My eyes grew misty, but I smiled. You can rest easy now. Look at me. I'm so happy.
The end. Thank you for watching our video. For more amazing stories, make sure to subscribe to our channel.